All right, all right. Basement Tapes 106, folks. We're here to talk about baseball cards today, 1961 baseball cards, and specifically, well, before we get to that, I'm happy to report I do have the full Golden Press set. I found Eddie Collins. He was right where he belonged between card number 27 and 29. It was a clerical error on my part. Anyway, folks, hopefully you didn't lose too much sleep over that. 1961 new card scoops baseball card set. I have a woefully underrepresentation of this in my collection. 5 cards I have. Of course, I have the new card highlights complete set, but this is a little bit different. There are apparently 80 of these cards for an average value of $6.29 and a total value of $503. Apparently, a set of these 80 cards will cost you between $200 and $400. Poor Beckett OPG. Let's read a little bit about this, shall we? The cards in this 80 card set measure 2.5 by 3.5 inches. The series depicts great moments in the history of individual ball players. Each card is designated as a miniature newspaper front page, complete with data and picture. Both the number 401 through 480 and title are printed in red on the obverse, and the story is found on the back. An album was issued to hold the set. The set has been illegally reprinted, folks, which has served to suppress the demand for the originals as well as the reprints. So clearly says it's reprinted at times, and I guess imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but card collectors really don't dig that stuff. Let's look at the 80 cards that are depicted, and apparently the top 3 in perceived value. Babe Ruth card number 447, depicting his 60th homer, is the highest valued, and it's tied with Mickey Mantle's longest homer. Along number 2 would be Mickey Mantle's longest homer again. So there's 450, card number 450 Mickey Mantle, and card number 422 Mickey Mantle, and then 455 Babe Ruth, 3 homers. So Mickey and the Babe sharing the top 2 spots jointly, and interesting, right? So let's go to Beckett. Let's go to TCDB and see what they have to say. It says it was distributed in one series, 401 through 480. Maybe we'll get to the bottom of why we started at 401. 80 total cards. Teams depicted on this set include Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox, Brooklyn Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, Los Angeles Angels, Los Angeles Dodgers, Milwaukee Braves, New York Giants, New York Yankees, Philadelphia Phillies, Pittsburgh Pirates, San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Browns, St. Louis Cardinals, and the Washington Senators. Hall of Famers in here. Oh, there's a plenty. 43 of them. And it goes on and on and on. All the big boys are in there. The only shared one appears to be Dizzy and Daffy Dean. Otherwise, everybody stands on their own on the fronts of these cards and the backs. Packaging. Let's look at the packages. Wow, these are pretty cool little wax boxes. It says Baseball Scoops, 7 cards for 5 cents. Most famous plays and players. The packs themselves are interesting because it appears to be that the cards are packaged in a horizontal / landscape format so that the wrapper is sideways. It says Baseball Scoops, 7 cards, 5 cents. New cards, NU-cards, printed in USA. Let's look at the back for some more information here. For all baseball cards, send 29, is that correct? That sounds so bizarre, of these baseball scoop wrappers together with 25 cents for postage and handling, and include name and address. I'm not sure what you get in return. The writing, of course, it's printed on wax packs, which doesn't help, but these packs are actually crimped on the sides, which is interesting as well. So it isn't folded and sealed with wax or glue. It's looks like they're crimped and sealed shut that way. So that's an interesting little distribution method there by New Cards, New Dash Cards. Let's look at the gallery, shall we? These are looks like smaller versions of the cards that were produced in 1960, but of course they include 1960 information. Card number 401 has Jim Gentile. I say Gentile. and with the Baltimore Birds. The first with 7 RBIs. Warren Spahn hurls no hitters, whiffs 15. That's in 1960. So a lot of stuff being talked about in 1960, but we digress from there and we go backwards. A lot of information from 1960, but again, we go, I don't know if it's chronological, but we're going back in time as we go. It certainly is not chronological. So let's talk about Fred Snodgrass here. He's card 54. Baseball Scoops Extra, card 54, Boston, October 16th, 1912. Printed in USA, copyright NCI. Snodgrass muffs a fly ball. Red Sox take World Series. The back says, today in the deciding game of the World Series between the Giants and the Red Sox, the most famous error of all time occurred. Fred Snodgrass, a very fine center fielder of the Giants, was the GOAT. And that is lowercase, folks. Here's the scene. Last half of the 10th, Giants ahead 2-1. First Boston player, Clyde Engel, hits a soft, lazy fly to center field. As easy out, even in Sandlot baseball. Snodgrass waits under it. The ball plops into his glove and right through his hands. Instead of 1 out, a man was on second. This opened the door, and Boston drove in 2 runs against the staggering Giants. The Snodgrass muff had blown a World Series. So lots of criticism, lots of judgment, but this was unbiased reporting, I suppose. Bob Feller hurls third career no-hitter. I think we've been through that with the 1960 version of this pickoff end series. Yep, it's a lot of the same stuff. I'm curious as to why they decided to repeat a lot of these headlines 2 years in a row, but they did. Let's go to the contemporary headlines here. Talk about Pete Runnels of the Boston Red Sox. August 30th, 1960, Runnels makes 9 hits in Twin Bill. So back of the card, 407, Baseball Scoops Extra, 9 hits in Twin Bill, Boston, August 30th, 1960. Pistol Pete Runnels took dead aim on Detroit Tiger pitching as he collected 9 hits and 11 times at bat to lead the Boston Red Sox to a pair of victories in a twilight doubleheader. Runnels' 6 hit and 7 at-bats enabled the Bo Sox to win the opener in the 15th inning, with Frank Malzone, who beat out an infield hit, scored from first on Pete's double. So there was no ghost runners back then, folks. Hard to believe, I'm sure. In the nightcap, Runnels made 3 for 4, including 2 doubles. Spurred on by this great performance, Runnels captured the AL batting title with a .320 mark. He thus became the 3rd Red Sox player in the last 11 years to win the bat crown. So standard size cards here, not a lot of other information provided, but I see these pop up a lot out there. So I prefer the bigger version, but I can completely understand why you would prefer the smaller version because they're standard size. And unlike the bigger version, there is a back to these cards that you can read. So the bigger version obviously had the story printed on the front. The smaller version has the headline and the picture on the front with the information on the back. So 1961 new card, Baseball Scoops, and I need to probably get more of these. I'm a little bit slow on the uptake on this particular set.